Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome back for chapter 3 of 1 Thessalonians. Today we're picking it right back up where we left off yesterday in Paul's letter to the church at Thessalonica there. It's another shorter one consisting of just 13 verses, but always lots of insight packed into a very small section. Let's get it going. This is chapter 3. Chapter 3 is really broken up into 3 smaller sections, which is Paul's concern for the church's continued faith, that Timothy encouraged them as he was sent to them by Paul, and then finally Paul's prayer for the church itself. Now, like we talked about before, Paul's primary concern for the church was simply that it would make it. Again, Paul had to leave this church before he thought they were ready to be on their own without him, and as we learned in the last chapter, he was unable to return to them. So to put yourself in these kind of shoes, I mean, imagine raising your children and then suddenly you're separated from them before you think that they're old enough to be out on their own. Well, this in many ways was exactly how Paul felt about the church here. So look at what he writes in verses 4 through 5. For in fact, we told you before when we were with you that we would suffer tribulation just as it happened, and you know. For this reason, when I could no longer endure it, I sent to know your faith, lest by some means the tempter, or Satan, had tempted you, and our labor might be in vain. See, Paul knew that there would be nothing that the devil would love more than to destroy a church in its infancy. Something that God had established through Paul and was now growing, and suddenly Paul can no longer be involved with it. I mean, keep in mind, there was no way for Paul to know the state of the church. He couldn't call or email or have any idea of what was going on. So Paul finally sends Timothy to Thessalonica. I mean, he's thinking there may be a lot of work to do, or they might even have to start a new church. Paul really isn't sure what to expect, but Timothy returns with good news. Look at verses 6 through 7. But now that Timothy has come to us from you and brought us good news of your faith and love, and that you always have good remembrance of us, greatly desiring to see us as we also to see you. Therefore, brethren, in all our affliction and distress, we were comforted concerning you by your faith. Now, I think with everything Paul had been through up to this point, this had to be some of the best news that he had heard in years. Keep in mind that many of the other letters that we read from Paul in the New Testament were letters of rebuke or correction. Many of them are written this way because people in the churches kept messing things up, but it's not the case here. Paul's filled with gratitude when Timothy reports that the church is actually thriving. Now, finally, look at one more passage in verses 12 through 13 with what Paul prays for this church. And may the Lord make you increase and abound in love to one another and to all, just as we do to you, so that he may establish your hearts blameless in holiness before our God and Father at the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ with all his saints. What is his biggest desire for them? To increase and abound in love towards one another and all others. This is ultimately what it always comes back to, loving people. When love is the primary focus and mission, it's what draws people to God and also to each other. Faith, hope, and love. The greatest of these is love. All right, guys, a shorter one it was today, but always good stuff packed into a small chapter. Well, thank you as always for being here. If you're in America, then I hope you're having an amazing 4th of July today. I know for us, we're going to be shooting off a lot of fireworks tonight. Until tomorrow, God bless you and keep you. Hope you have a great day wherever you may be watching this from. We'll see you back here tomorrow.